Home Alone. Is there a better movie out there for poking fun at dumb criminals? Hollywood may have cultivated the myth of the evil genius, but the fact is you don't have to be smart to be a crook. In fact, a lot of them are downright stupid. Check out this 911 call.
911. I just broke into a house and the owner came home. You broke into a house? Yeah. I'm sorry. My name is Timothy Chappie. They broke in. I've already called them. They're on the phone right now.
Yes, you heard right. A burglar calling 911 when the homeowners return. There really is no shortage of boneheaded burglar bloopers. So without further ado, we bring you the Criminal Darwin Awards, presented by David Menzies, host of Menzoid Mornings.
Great to be with you.
Hi, David. How are you?
Very good. How about yourself, my friend?
Good. We love the dumb criminals. It allows law enforcement agencies to catch them a lot easier. They provide us with some cheap entertainment, but I guess at the same time, why do we champion some of these guys?
Well, this is exactly what I was thinking in light of Prison Justice Day on Friday. We had various vigils and gatherings across Canada to mourn those convicts that have passed away behind bars. And the way this started was back in 1975, a guy called Eddie Naylan died at Millhaven in solitary confinement. Now, the amazing thing is that when you look at all these websites and blog sites championing Prison Justice Day, they always talk about poor Eddie Naylan dying, but they don't say what Eddie Naylan was in jail for. And all I was able to find out, it was a life sentence. And as you know, in this country, we don't give life sentences for unpaid library fines. And the fact that he was in solitary confinement when his death occurred, that would suggest he was less of a model prisoner. So, you got to wonder, why are these prisoner rights groups going to bat for a character like this? I mean, this wasn't somebody that was brought in on some kind of a traffic violation and maybe held against his rights. This sounded like a really serious piece of work. And more to the point, when you look at so many of the people that are behind bars, let's face it, these are violent people, sometimes murderous people, and they're dumb. I mean, they can't make a living honestly, and what they have to do is resort to crime. And thankfully, if you talk to law enforcement, I think the figure is well over 50% of cases are solved because the criminals themselves are just so stupid, they do themselves in.
Yeah, I guess if they were any smarter, they'd be able to make a living as law-abiding citizens. Do you have any good examples of some of these dumb criminals, David?
Yes, I do. The internet is rife with them. There's that man in Michigan who went over to the police cruiser and he asked how the onboard computer worked. And the police said, well, we can demonstrate it. Can you give us your driver's license? And he obliged, and they found out that this fellow was wanted for 2.5 years in St. Louis for an armed robbery violation. So again, the guy did himself in. There was another case where there was a thieves stole a car. They pulled over to a convenience store to buy something. When they came out, I guess they left their car running. It was gone. So what did they do? They phoned 911 to report a car theft, a car which they had just stolen. Another car story, this one out in British Columbia. A fellow was having trouble with his Corvette battery. It was failing to charge. And the homeowner, much to his shock, saw a guy jump into his Vette, put it in gear. The Vette stalled, and everything else stalled with it, including the power windows, power locks. And the thief, despite having an axe, couldn't smash his way out of the Corvette. So his wannabe sports car, stolen sports car, was a temporary holding cell. And in Chatham, in Ontario, a funny story in a way. There was a news report outlining a burglary, and a viewer of the news report called up the cops and said, oh, you know what, the media's got it all wrong. And he went into all these incredibly intricate details. which the police realized only the thief would have knowledge of this. So they went to his house. He's arrested. And, the list goes on. Oh, and probably one of the best ones, a man holding up a convenience store in the United States. And in addition to the money, he asked the clerk to throw in a bottle of scotch. She says, I can't do that unless you're 21. He says, well, I am over 21. She says, well, state law forbids me from giving alcohol unless you prove your identity. So he shows his ID, name, address, everything, and again, hoisted it on his own petard.
Police must just love these guys. I mean, they must just, laugh among themselves when they catch some of these guys.
Well, even the big, Timothy McVeigh, done in by a license plate that the registration was out of date on. I mean, the tiniest things can, lead to the biggest bust. And absolutely, I think you're dead right. If, think of how many cases wouldn't be solved and how many of these thieves, murderers, cutthroats would be around if they were smart enough to, not give away such obvious clues to their identities.
Funny stuff. Thanks, David. David Menzies, host of Menzoid Mornings.
A pleasure. Thanks so much.